Hello everyone, my name is Robert Chalmers and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Escaping Christianity. I hope everyone is having a great day today. Um, the purpose of today's video is this is going to be the last video for my channel because I have decided that I just don't want to talk about this subject anymore. And I've been a bit schizophrenic about this, a bit bipolar. I've gone back and forth on whether I want to keep talking about this or not. But after thinking about it for the last week, I'm tired of talking about the subject. But I wanted to, in this video, talk about why I believe in an afterlife. And the reason why I'm making this video, a couple reasons. I want to have closure for my channel, but I also want to be able to give Christians a reason for hope. Because I think a lot of Christians or other religious people, they hang on to their religion because it's emotionally comforting for them, and so they don't want to let go of their promises of eternal life or stuff like that. And I want to say that, even though I'm no longer a Christian and I'll never be affiliated with any religion ever again, I still have hope. And I want to be able to show that to Christians, that I have reasons for hope. So I just want to talk about a few reasons why I believe in an afterlife in this video, and then this is going to be it for my channel. I don't plan on posting any more videos. If something really important comes to my mind where I feel like I just have to say something, then I might post another video to this channel. But as of today, and I hope I can stick with this plan, this will be the last video for my channel because I just don't want to talk about this subject anymore. Just to go over my history as a Christian really briefly, because I don't think I've ever talked about this in my videos. Maybe I did, but I don't remember if I did. I became a Christian when I was 15. I'm 48 years old now, and then I was a Christian for 32 years, and I left Christianity in March of 2020, so 16 months ago. And at the same time that COVID was shutting down everything, and that's just a coincidence. COVID didn't have anything to do with it, but yeah, I left 16 months ago in March of last year. And eschatology was always my first love when I became a Christian at 15 years old. It was my favorite topic. I had Hal Lindsey books. I had Grant R. Jeffrey books. These were dispensational teachers of eschatology. And I had this bookshelf of all these prophecy books when I was a teenager, and I absolutely loved the subject. I studied it like crazy. And I also liked epic fantasy like Lord of the Rings and some science fiction books too, but mainly epic fantasy. And so I had my prophecy books, I had my epic fantasy books, and I took my prophecy study very seriously, and it was always my favorite subject the whole 32 years I was a Christian. It's still my favorite subject. I was always fascinated by eschatology. I always have been. And so throughout my journey, when I was a younger Christian, sometimes I was very dedicated and I would study a lot, but then I would have long periods of time where I would become very worldly and just, behave like the world, go out and party and do stuff that young people do, especially when I was a teenager and in my 20s. But then when I got older, I got a lot more serious. I had these pockets when I was really serious, even when I was young. A month here, a couple months there, where I get super serious in my Bible study, but then I would fall away and I would just go back to partying or doing whatever I wanted to do. But when I got into my 30s, especially in the last 10 years I was a Christian, I got pretty serious, and then especially in my final few years, and I spent thousands of hours studying the Bible. I think people can see that from my videos. And I tried to be very meticulous and careful in my study. And one thing I want to say is I have no doubt in my mind that I'd still be a Christian today if it wouldn't have been for two gentlemen that I ran into. I ran into two different gentlemen, both full preterists. One is still a Christian and a full preterist, and I ran into him around the summer or early fall of 2018. And then the other one I ran into after Thanksgiving in 2019. And he also was a full preterist and a pastor, but he's no longer a Christian. And if it wouldn't have been for these two gentlemen, I probably would still be a Christian today. Now, they didn't deconvert me, but they said things. The first one pointed out the time statements, which got me on the path to realizing that you cannot escape the time statements of the New Testament. So that radically changed my journey as a Christian. And that happened, like I said, in the summer of 2018 or early fall. And it was 6 to 9 months after that, after studying full preterism night and day, that I realized that I realized much quicker than that you couldn't escape the time statements, but I spent the next 6 to 9 months studying full preterism in depth, and that's when I started my channel, my YouTube channel in April of 2019, was to teach Christians the true eschatology, or at least that's what I thought at the time. And so I made my first 24 videos on my channel, which you can see on here when I was still a Christian. And then I ran into the second gentleman a little over a year later, which was right after Thanksgiving, early December of 2019. And he also was a full preterist and a pastor, but he was no longer a Christian. He had left Christianity. And he adopted the mythicist position, and he gave me 4 mythicist books that he said I should read. I read about the first 50 pages of the first book, and I decided, nah, I'll do my own study. But I was horrified that he left. I couldn't believe that he left because he knew the Bible so well. And so I looked into it, and it only took me about 3 months of objectively studying all the evidence, both for and against Christianity, to realize the Christian God can't exist. And I'm convinced that none of the whether it's the Muslim God or the Hindu gods or any of these other religions, at least for me personally, I'm convinced none of these gods exist. But I can show, and this is what I've tried to do in my last several videos, why it's not possible for the Christian God to exist if you hold the New Testament writers accountable for what they said. But anyways, that's a very brief summary of my journey as a Christian. And if it wouldn't have been for these 2 gentlemen pointing out, the first one pointing out the time statements, and then the second one actually, leaving and getting me to think differently, and then me doing the research, if it hadn't been for these 2 gentlemen, I would have never escaped. And so that's why I've made these videos, is to try to help other Christians escape, because I needed help to escape myself. And so I hope that it's helped. I know it's helped at least 1 or 2 Christians to escape, because I've talked to at least one who is no longer a Christian because of my videos, and that makes me happy. And I want all religious people to be able to escape their religion. But anyways, I want this video to be short, so I just want to go over the reasons why I believe in an afterlife. And so I'm just going to give a few reasons. There's several reasons why I think an afterlife is highly probable, at least in my opinion. And that is, the first one is nursing home stories. And one thing I want to point out really quick is that, I think the scientific method is great, and it's one of the best things we've ever developed as humans to help understand the world that we live in. And it develops theories, it creates a controlled environment, it collects the data, and then it modifies those theories as new data becomes available. It's one of the best things humans have ever come up with for trying to understand the natural world that we live in. And I'm a big proponent for science. But one thing that I've noticed that scientists or atheists do is they tend to discard anecdotal data entirely. And that's a mistake, because we cannot get through one day in our life without anecdotal data. If you say to someone at your work, hey Jim, did you fax that to the guy, to the client, and he says yes, you just relied on anecdotal evidence. And if you go to the doctor and the doctor asks you what your symptoms are, he's relying on you telling him the truth. He's relying on anecdotal subjective evidence to help him formulate a diagnosis. Now, he's going to check you with his instruments and stuff like that too, but you can't throw out all anecdotal evidence, because you can't even get through a day in this life without anecdotal evidence. So just because it isn't the scientific method doesn't mean that the evidence is invalid just because it's unreliable. Sometimes. And anecdotal evidence can be unreliable. In court cases, you might have several witnesses to a crime or to an accident, and they go up on the witness stand and the lawyers question them, but they misremember things. So it takes more effort to sift through anecdotal evidence, but it's still valid. You don't throw all of it out. And this is a mistake that I see scientists or atheists make. and not all scientists are atheists, but you know, a lot of them are. You can't throw out all the anecdotal evidence. You have some of it is very valid, and so I just want to make that point, because with nursing home stories, you know, or just when you take care of dying loved ones, you've seen these stories throughout human history, and you can talk to a lot of nursing home, you know, to nurses in nursing homes today that talk about these strange visitations that people have, these weird occurrences that happen in the months and weeks and days leading up to their death. And so this is, you know, some of this might be hallucinations, absolutely. That's why you got to sift through it to see what's real and what's not. But you can't just say all of it is hallucinations because it's anecdotal, which is what atheists want to do. Like I said, you can't get through a day of life without anecdotal evidence. But you know, I heard one nursing home, one nurse in a nursing home recently said that over 50% of her patients have these visitations and these things happening. Now, she might be exaggerating in her evidence that she's providing in her testimony. She might be exaggerating, but the point is that she's saying it happens to a lot of her people. So that's one piece of evidence. And scientists or atheistic people who have that viewpoint will say, yeah, that's bullshit. Those things aren't really happening. Okay, they're entitled to that view, but that's just one piece of evidence I'm pointing out. Another thing that I would like to point out is that from near-death experiences, people often see and hear things that happen in rooms far away from their body, or sometimes miles away. Or they encounter people that lived before they were born that were members of the family, or things like that. And then these get confirmed by other family members when they come back from their near-death experience, or these things that they saw in other rooms or whatever. If the materialist or atheistic view is correct, you shouldn't be able to do any of that. And so this is highly problematic for the atheist view. So that's one thing that I would like to point out. Now, one thing I want to say is that I think you can make a strong case for the atheistic viewpoint, and you can also make a strong, I think at least an equally strong case for the afterlife viewpoint. But as far as specific gods, like the Christian God, the Muslim God, the Hindu gods, the God of Judaism, the Old Testament God, I'm convinced, at least personally, I'm absolutely convinced none of those gods exist. And I think I've shown in my videos that it's impossible for the Christian God to exist if you hold the New Testament writers accountable. So none of these specific gods exist in an afterlife. But I do think a generic afterlife, what I mean by generic is like a divine source that we all come from, or something like that, that maybe we're all a part of, this love that people feel in the near-death experience. That's what I mean by a generic afterlife. There's no specific gods there from this planet. None of those gods exist, whether it's the God of Islam or Christianity or Judaism. These are all gods that were invented by the humans who founded those religions. I'm absolutely convinced of that. But I think you can make a strong case for an atheistic viewpoint or for a generic afterlife type of viewpoint. And you can't prove either side conclusively, you know, with 100% certainty. But I think, you know, there's good reasons to have hope that there's an afterlife. And so I want to give a couple more. Another reason is that in near-death experiences, people often will experience things when they have the life review, because life reviews happen in near-death experiences all the time. It's a common trait of near-death experiences that they will have these life reviews with a light being. And by the way, this light being will be there with them having this life review, and they'll feel no judgment. They'll feel nothing but love and acceptance, nothing like what you get from the judgmental Christian or biblical God or the Muslim God, where there's this fear of judgment and all of this. There's none of that in near-death experiences. Now, full disclosure, there are some negative NDEs, but the majority of them are positive. And they feel acceptance, they feel overwhelming love, and just acceptance for who they are as they go through this life review. But during these life reviews, they're often put in the shoes of other people to experience what they were thinking and feeling in all these scenes of their life that are playing out in their life review. Why is that happening? Just think about it logically for a second. Why is that happening if the atheistic viewpoint is correct? If this is the last moments of your existence, Why are you having a life review where you experience everything from other people's position and what they were feeling if you're just going to blink out of existence in a few more moments forever? It makes no logical sense at all from the atheistic viewpoint, but it makes perfect sense if there's some sort of afterlife and you carry on. So that's one thing I wanted to point out. Another thing is that people are told in near-death experiences, you will find this in near-death experience after near-death experience, over and over again, that people are told that they have to come back, that it's not their time, and sometimes they're given a choice. Well, if they give me that choice, I'm not coming back. But that's just me. And that's because I see too much pain in this world, and I don't like seeing it. It's not because I don't love my family. It's just I don't want to see this pain here anymore. And but my point is people are told over and over that it's not their time and that they have to come back. Once again, from an atheistic perspective, that makes no sense logically, but it makes perfect sense if you carry on after this life. And so these are just some of the reasons that I want to give for why I think there's good evidence for an afterlife. And I want to direct this to everybody watching my video, but specifically religious people and specifically Christians, since I used to be a Christian for 32 years, that you can have hope. You can listen to these nursing home stories. You can study near-death experiences. There's tens of thousands of them throughout history. There's lots of them that you can look at today. There's plenty of reason to have hope that we can carry on after this life. And I have that hope. And I think it's highly probable, based on the evidence and based on near-death experiences, some of these reasons, that there is an afterlife. But you can make a strong case for the atheistic view or the generic afterlife view. None of these specific gods are there. The Christian God, the Muslim God, the Jewish God doesn't exist. Those gods are not there. So it doesn't matter whether the atheistic view or the generic afterlife view is correct. You're not going to find any of those gods there. They don't exist. But if these near-death experiences are real, and the love that people feel in these experiences, and they feel like they're home and all of that, you're going to forget about your God really quick anyways. You're not even going to care. You're going to be like, why did I believe that silly, stupid crap? And there's been some people who belong to a specific religion before their near-death experience, and when they came back, they said that was stupid. Now they just had a spiritual outlook, but they didn't believe that God existed anymore. Yeah. And now you can find ones where they think they see their Jesus, or they see Buddha, or they see a Hindu god. You can find those too, and that's why I say, with anecdotal evidence, you got to sift through and see what is true. And the thing is in these thousands of near-death experiences, there are common things like being told they have to go back, experiencing things from other people's perspective, their emotions, their thoughts. These do not make any logical sense under an atheistic worldview. So this is why I think it's highly probable that there is an afterlife after this, after this one. So, but whichever side you pick, I can respect the atheist view because you can make a strong case for it, and I can respect a generic afterlife view because you can make a strong case for it. And I hold to that view of the afterlife. I think, just in my personal opinion, that it's highly probable. But I could easily be wrong. I can't prove it definitively, and the atheists can't prove their position definitively either. But both sides can make a strong case. So I can respect either view. But whichever one you pick, I know for sure you're not going to find any of the gods from this planet that humans have created. You will not find any of them there, and you're not going to care if it's as wonderful as it might be. But maybe it exists, maybe it doesn't, this generic afterlife. I can't prove it. It's just my personal opinion based on the evidence and on some of the reasons I just gave. But my worst fear is that I have to come back. My biggest fear, if there is an afterlife and if there is reincarnation, my biggest fear is that I have to come back here and live life on planet Earth again. And the reason why is because I see so much pain and suffering. Yes, there's wonderful things, experiencing love with a significant other, having a good meal, going fishing. There's simple pleasures of life, or whatever. I don't really fish much, but playing basketball, whatever. There's simple pleasures in life. But for me, personally, it's ruined greatly because I see all the pain and suffering in the world. And I don't want to ever see that again. So if there is an afterlife and I'm given a choice, I don't ever want to come back here. I'd rather stay dead forever. I'd rather the atheist view was correct and I just stay dead forever than have to come back here and see all the suffering here. I had a thought the other day that just popped into my head, and I'd had this thought before, but never quite in these words. And the thought was, ignorance is the root cause of all pain and suffering. And I really believe that. And you can be the smartest human in the world, and you are still profoundly ignorant. Socrates had a great quote. He said, "True wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." And of course, the purpose of his quote is not that you don't know anything at all, but that even the little bit that you know, you're profoundly ignorant. And even the smartest humans on this planet are profoundly ignorant. And I don't ever want to come back here because I don't want to see this pain and suffering again. And maybe I'm saying that because I don't understand the whole purpose of what's really going on. That's very possible. And I'm just profoundly ignorant. And we all are. And that includes me. We all are profoundly ignorant. But as far as I can tell, I don't want to come back here. My biggest fear is to have to come back here and be a kid, and you don't know shit, and then you grow up and you're an adult, and you think you know some things, but you still don't know shit. We're all profoundly ignorant. And this ignorance has led to the death of millions of people in the name of religion and political views and many other things. And we hurt each other all day, every day, because of the ignorance that we have within ourselves. And I despise that ignorance. I don't want to be a part of it anymore. And so that's my biggest fear, is that I would have to come back and relive life on a planet like this again. The thought is heartbreaking to me. But that's just my personal perspective. But I have hope that there's a better life. And like people say in these near-death experiences, when they get there, there's this love, there's this acceptance, and they feel like they're home. And if that's true, I'm not coming back. I'm going to stay there. At least I hope I have the option to do that. If I'm right. Maybe the atheists are right, but I hold to the afterlife view. And you can pick either side, and I can respect either position. But none of these specific gods, they don't exist. They're Christianity, all these gods, they've been made up by humans. They don't exist. I'm convinced of that. But anyways, I wanted to make this video to give hope to Christians and to other religious people. Please let go of your religion. These gods don't exist. Please let it go. And you can still have hope, but we don't have certainty. We don't know. We can't know for sure if there's an afterlife or not. But like I said, there's some good evidence out there, especially with NDEs. And so that's the best we have. You're gonna have to accept that. But I don't want this video to be too long. The comments for this video are going to be turned off because I want this to be my final video. Like I said, if something really important comes up, I might come back and make another video. But I hope I can stick to my plan, and this is my final video. I don't want to talk about the subject anymore because the people I want to listen, which are Christians and other religious people, most of them are emotionally in a place where they just can't listen. You can't reach them. They might as well be on the other side of the universe. And until they get to a place where they emotionally can handle this, and for many of them, it won't be until they take their last breath, and then they'll be set free. They'll finally be free from the chains of their religion. And but I would like to see them escape sooner. But anyways, that's it. I didn't really script this video, and I don't want to talk about the subject anymore. I want to thank everybody that's watched my videos. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I hope that these videos have blessed you in some way. I really, really, truly do. And I'm very, very grateful that you've watched these videos. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I really, really appreciate that you watched my videos. You have full permission to use my videos. Just if you used the first 2 dozen when I was still a Christian, please make sure there's a disclaimer that I don't believe in those videos anymore. The ones when I was still a Christian. But if you use any of the ones after that when I deconverted, as long as you keep them in context, just don't distort the message, and make sure that you keep all that intact. you have full permission to download them, do whatever you want, as long as you don't distort the message. Um, if you wanted to use them for some reason. And so I hope it's been a blessing to people. And once again, thank you for watching all my videos. And I wish everybody nothing but the best in life. And like I said, if you're a religious person, I hope you can escape before you take your last breath. And that's the reason why I've made at least my videos since I deconverted, is to try to help people. But I just don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to focus on other things in life, and try to not think about this so much. So anyways, everyone take care. I love you all, love all you guys. Doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. I love it. I want to love everyone the best I can, and I just wish nothing but the best for everybody. So please take care.